Okay, guys, I'm going to try this again. I tried this video once already. The sound messed up. I was using my other program to download it. So I've got OBS open now. We're going to try this because this actually picks up the sound of the video a lot better. This video has been circling around the internet. It's actually been given to me 3 times by 3 different people. One was last night. Right off the bat, I saw issues with this thing. Well, since it came up a few more times today, and quite a few people are sharing this, I've dug into it a little deeper, and there's a lot of things wrong with this video, and I'm going to show them to you. It's called a leaked Pentagon video from 2005. Excuse me, Vaccine for Religious Fundamentalism. Listen to what they say in here, and we're going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to show you some inconsistencies I have.
Excuse me, on the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this...
Okay, now, right off the bat, this was being pushed that it was talking about Christians. However, you're going to hear him say in here, he's talking about people in the Middle East. He's talking about Islam. But there's problems with what he's saying here. First of all, if this is a leaked Pentagon video, who edited it? Who edited this? This looks like somebody that's just hanging back in the back filming. Who edited this video? If this was being filmed as a presentation, why isn't he down in the front where he can get the pictures better, the slides? There's plenty of room, evidently. Look at the place is empty. But no, he's in the back of the room. Now, watch what happens on these slides. This first slide, you're going to see it come up full screen. Notice on his presentation, there's nothing around this slide. It's all black border. And there's no writing or no nothing in there. Now watch.
This is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalists, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach.
Notice the writing on the side. Now notice the slide. The slide says nothing about religion at all. But notice what it says on the side there. He's got this stuff on the side talking about religious versus non-religious individuals. Who edited this video? Now, if this was meant to be a presentation, whoever's filming is going to sit down front, where they can get, or in the middle, where they can get a direct shot. I know, I've done videography to get a direct shot of that slideshow. You don't just film for no reason. Something's wrong here. I have a lot of issues with this thing. Now watch as he continues.
What you're suggesting here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market.
You hear what he said? By spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from going on bomb fests. So he's talking about terrorist acts. He's talking about suicide bombers. This is being pushed that they're talking about Christians, yet not once are Christians mentioned in here. Listen.
Blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have 2 brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are 2 different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2.
Remember, he zoomed in. Did you notice there was no writing around it, but here all of a sudden there's writing? A, religious. B, non-religious. I find this interesting. I also find it interesting. What do you want? I also find it interesting that they're not talking about Christians in this, first of all. Second of all, it looks like the conversation is matching what's being said, but it almost kind of looks like something's wrong with this. And who edited this? They wouldn't have to edit this if they would have just sat in the middle of the room and filmed like a normal person would, doing videography of a particular presentation. And this presentation isn't evidently very popular because there's only, what, 6, 7 people in the room? There's issues with this. Now, let's go over here. You see that brain scan he showed? Do you see any, these are all brain scans of religious people. Do you see any brain scans that look like those brain scans? I don't see anything even close to it at all. This one here is kind of close, but the highlighting is in the wrong place. Nothing. Bupkis. So what brain scans are those? Let's look up fMRI. Let's see if that brings anything up. I think it's funny that several of these are saying that there's been fMRI brain studies in doubt due to software issues. This one up here says it's been 15 years of fMRI brain research has been invalidated because of software issues. Oops. I see some that kind of look like it, but they're not right. The positioning isn't right of it. The coloring, none of this really matches what he's showing. There's some of it that's kind of close. Now let's look at this VMAT2 gene he's talking about. Summary of VMAT2, vesicular monoamine transporter, is a protein that is encoded in the SLC18A2 gene, salute carrier family 18 member 2 in humans. VMAT2 is a member of the toxin extruding antiporter family. VMAT2 is located in neurons, where it acts as a pump for neurotransmitters, packaging them to be released for neurons. So everybody has the VMAT2 gene. That's how your brain functions. All right, what does that have to do with what he's talking about? I go down here and they're calling it the God gene. The VMAT2 is the God gene. Notice, here's 3 individuals showing that same video, and all 3 of those are religious channels. I've been to all 3 of them. They're showing the same video. This video is being passed around, touted as something they're going to do to Christians. And people are telling me, this is real, this is real. I disagree. Because when you read the actual stuff on the VMAT2, every single person has this. It's what your brain uses to transmit and transport the neurons. It's a pump for the neurotransmitters. So your brain has to have it. Yet in this video, he's talking about people that have the VMAT2 gene. Well, according to what I just showed you, everybody's got the VMAT2 gene. You have to have it. See, this doesn't make any sense. Now, something that he looked on here, the anterior insula, the VMAT2 is located... Oh, no, wait, there was another one that I had done. Where'd it go? There was another one that I had looked at where, it might have been this one here, where, let's go back and see. Yeah, where the brain, how the brain processes, because he says, we'll see it here in a minute. Let me get to the right story, and then we'll go back and look at the video. That's it. All right, so let's go back here. Go away, pop-ups. Let's go back here. Listen to what he says here.
On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2.
He said the one on top has high level of VMAT2. So the scan on top shows a little tiny spot, and it's at the frontal lobe. The one down below evidently is going to end up being the non-religious person, because it says on the right, B, non-religious brain. He's got a big old giant spot way off on the side.
Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were
So he had a low level of VMAT2, not particularly religious, but his brain had a bigger reaction.
read a religious text. This individual light lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on.
All right, disgust. What part of the brain lights up for disgust? Well, look in here. Let's see. Brain controls fear, anger, happiness, love. Nope, that's not it. Maybe it wasn't that article. It was a different article. Let's look. Yes, it was a different article. Okay. No, it wasn't a different article. It was that one. It's this one. Okay. So, in this study published in the February 14th issue of the Annals of Neurology, researchers were able to use even more focused technique than the MRI scan to map the areas of the brain involved in processing disgust. Researchers studied a group of 13 epilepsy patients who had tiny electrodes implanted in their brain in preparation for possible surgery that would remove sections of the brain responsible for triggering debilitating seizures. By examining the electrical signals emitted by the brain as these patients looked at pictures of faces showing disgust, researchers identified an area deep in the brain called the insular, where activity was most prevalent. In fact, they found a very specific subregion of the insular that was activated only by expressions of disgust and did not respond to expressions of happiness, fear, or neutral emotion. In addition, the study found, that the insular didn't respond quickly as other areas of the brain involved in responding to facial expressions, which suggests that this area plays a more complicated role in the process. Now, what about the other article where it shows where the fear and everything pops up? Okay, so where do emotions come from? The limbic system is a group of interconnected structures located deep within the brain. It's the part of the brain that's responsible for behavioral and emotional responses. It's deep within the brain, but it's behavioral and emotional, yet he said it was the frontal area that... None of that is the frontal area. So, yeah, none of this is saying anything about what he's talking about. Happiness originates partly in the limbic cortex. He was showing it being in the frontal lobe. That's not in the frontal lobe. Let's look and see where the limbic cortex is. Way up inside the brain there. Way down deep in there. So that's not frontal lobe. It's not even close to the frontal lobe. Yet here this guy is saying that the dude's having it in the frontal lobe. Let's listen again.
Hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing, and I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses, such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses, and we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
Okay. I have issues with this. First of all, this is a leaked video from 2005. It's a long time. Second of all, when you hear the voice and you look and watch the people talking in here, at first it kind of seems like it's matching it, but then you look at it and it's like, something's not quite right here. Third, they're showing these slides on here. There's no writing around here telling what this is. Yet when whoever edited this video pops it up on the screen full screen, there's writing over there telling you certain things. Guys, this could be legit, this might not be legit. Here's my issue with this. Why hasn't it worked? Evidently they were going to do it. Why hasn't it worked? Now, this guy that was asking him questions down here, this dude here, I don't know if you can see my cursor on the screen, he sounded kind of bent out of shape about that. So I'm supposed to carry a CT scan to know who I need to put a bullet in the head? But some of the stuff this guy was talking about didn't match up with what we just looked at. Because he talked about the top picture, the religious being, happy experience and all that with people is up in the frontal cortex, yet it's not. It's in the limbic cortex, which is down inside the brain, about where the second person's highlighted area was. That's also where the insular is, but it's way down deep in there. I see inconsistencies with this. This worries me a little bit. Now, all this aside, so I'm warning you about this video. You need to use discernment and be of sober mind looking at this. All this aside, take it off the table. Man cannot vaccinate you against believing in God. And that's what this was presented to me as, is that, hey, they're going to give us a shot, these vaccines for the coronavirus that's going to make us not believing it. No, they can't do that. Man cannot circumvent God's power. You have the Holy Spirit of the Creator, the King of the universe, within you if you're saved. This cannot stop you from being saved. So, guys, you gotta have a sober mind about this. This is going to get thrown around a whole bunch. You watch. Be careful what you listen to. Prove and test these things. I have no doubt this is a Pentagon video. Well, I kind of have some doubt that it is. But the problem is, there's a lot of inconsistencies here that don't quite match up. I just showed you guys the fMRI brain scans. They don't even look like that, what he showed. The color's right, but some of the colors are right, but the locations of the stuff, and these are all for religious experience. Baseline to prayer. Images of atheist at baseline. And while contemplating God. Big difference from what he's showing. And we looked at that gene. Oh, man. What is it? That gene is it's throughout your entire brain. He made it sound like you have more or less of this gene. No, I don't think so. That's not what this is talking about. So there's issues with this. I have issues with this personally. And don't believe me. Prove it to yourself. I'm going to link this in the description so you can go watch this video. But a lot of Christian channels are sharing this video. And some of them, most of them, are presenting this, that this is something they're going to do to vaccinate Christians against. Because see, the people have gotten this deal. Satan's gotten this fear in everybody. If you take a vaccination or something like that, you're not going to believe anymore. It's the mark of the beast. Listen, you're going to have to consciously worship the mark, worship the beast, and take the mark. Because there are going to be, the Bible talks about people at the end of the tribulation who didn't take the mark, who were still alive. Because the ones that take the mark are condemned. So this is going to be a conscious decision for you. They're not going to trick you. They're not going to be able to do it anyway because you belong to God now. They cannot touch what belongs to God. Just saying. They can kill your body, but they can't do anything else to you. They certainly can't take away your ability to believe. And you see throughout this, he's mentioning Afghanistan and the Middle East. He's talking about radical fundamentalism. He's not talking about Christians. Christians don't blow themselves up to kill a bunch of people. Oh, I know people have done that in the name of Christianity. Those aren't Christians. So, you got to listen to the words. You got to pay attention to what's being said. You got to pay attention to the information that's being presented. There's a lot of stuff I don't like about this. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong with this. To me, this seems like it's been doctored a little bit to create a different understanding of what they're actually talking about here. I don't know if it's been voiced over or not. To me, it kind of sounds like it has. So, take this stuff with a grain of salt. I'm a watchman. I'm sounding the alarm. Watch out for this stuff. Satan is on the rampage right now trying to deceive as many people as he can. Go to the Bible for everything. Stick with the truth. Stick with God. Don't believe this stuff, and don't let this stuff get you hung up in fear. That's what people want you to do. Wrong answer. Don't do that. Don't let them do that. Stay away from these things. You've got to check this stuff. Just because a source on YouTube that you trust puts out information like this and says, this is what it means, that's not necessarily the truth. Check it out. Every single thing. Don't trust it. Don't trust any of it. Make sure you validate all these things very specifically. And just the fact that they think that they're going to vaccinate somebody from a gene that your brain uses to transmit information, so it's needed, that they're going to reduce it in your brain, that's going to cause you to become a little stupid. You need this. And they're talking about vaccinating against it. No. Too much stuff just smacks of conspiracy here. And most of it smacks of a doctored video. So, like I said, check it out. Make sure you do your own research on this. And watch out for this stuff, guys. Be careful. Be safe. Don't let people deceive you on this. This is a great way to get you hung up in fear and self-condemnation. Don't do it. That's what Satan wants you to do. He wants you to take your eyes off God and look at this. Don't do it. I'm a watchman. I'm sounding the alarm.